Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Spencer.
And I'm Dan.
And this is the Board Game Rundown, and today we are doing a preview for How to Save a World from Burnt Island Games, also Kids Table Board Gaming, I believe. Anyways, this is 1 to 4 players, and it says about 30 minutes per player. That's probably accurate.
Pretty accurate.
The game felt faster than that, to be honest, even like a learning game.
Yeah, once that meteor starts coming at you, it just gets faster and faster.
Right. So in this game, basically, we are all cooperatively trying to research projects to save the planet as this asteroid is coming in towards us, right? This is our game timer down here. And but obviously whoever does the best job is going to get the most points and win the game. So on your turn, you can do one of a few things. You can move one of your landers. This is a prototype, so the landers are right now meeples. You can move one of your landers to take an action on in one of these sites. Then you're going to pay the resources and advance the track, buy a card, do whatever it is you're going to do. You can play a card from your hand, pay the cost, and gain the effect or perform the action that the card gives you, right? So like this one would be like advance on a track, on this track specifically. So I'd still have to pay the cost, and then I'm paying the little energy cost here for the card.
But it saves you the meeple, which is nice.
But it saves you the meeple. Another thing you can do is you can spend an energy to move from either the moon to the planet or vice versa. That's basically your action though, so unless you unlock the tech later on that lets you do the thing. And there's all kinds of really cool actions on here. There's basically like, you know, your typical gain resources. There's like a resource or buy a card. The card system is really interesting because when you buy a card, you are paying for, the cost is however many cards you have in your hand and discard pile currently. So you're going to start the game with 3 cards. So to buy your first card, it's going to cost 3, and it's going to be the appropriately colored resource based on the card you're buying, right? Whether it's a boost card, a species card, or an action card. The species cards are worth victory points basically all at the end of the game, but they do provide tags, which are useful. The action cards are literally that. It's an action. You pay. You buy that card, and then it goes to your hand, and then when you on a future turn, you pay the action cost, which from what I've seen have all just been the 1 energy.
Yeah, the 1 energy, yeah.
And then you perform that action. And then there's boost cards, which then you can play in addition. So when something happens, you can then play a boost card to pile on with that and boost it.
Yep.
Makes sense, right?
Makes sense.
There's research actions. Research actions up here. You've got a tech lab on your board. And depending on how much of the little brain power icon there you spend, you're going to determine which one you want to do. And there's all sorts of things. You can make cards cheaper. You can gain points when cubes are drawn out. You can gain points when research actions are performed. And then there's like minor ones up there, which you can just pay to get a thing. And those are like quick one-offs. They don't have like a persistent effect through the game like the Tech 1 and 2 do.
Sure, the tags technically do, but
yeah, that's true. That's true. The tags technically do. You will have some actions where it'll be like there's a regular version of the action, and then there's a secondary spot on most locations where then you have to pay a little extra to be able to do the action because these spots get blocked off. So, but also maybe if I've got a bunch of moon tags and I want to perform this action more than once, I can go here, and for every moon tag I spend, I can perform that action over and over and over as long as I can keep paying for it, either with the tags and then with the cost on the track itself. So there's some interesting choices there. And then one of the absolutely coolest things that happens in this game is when you, at the end of the round, there's these little shuttle icons on all these different locations here on the board.
Some of them, but not all.
And those, if your lander is on one of those spaces with the shuttle icon, at the end of the round, it swaps. It basically is going to go to the other location. It's either going to go from the moon to the planet or the planet to the moon, which I think is really cool and really sets up some interesting combinations. Like oh no, all my landers are on the moon. Like what? I don't need that many moon actions.
Right.
You know, things that are there. And then when we advance tracks, you're going to be seeding this bag with cubes, and then in between rounds, you're going to, depending on the threat level, be drawing cubes out of the bag. The more asteroid cubes we draw, the faster that guy progresses. That's exactly what
That was a
happened.
recreation of Dan's game.
And if you draw cubes for the different researches you've done, they're going to populate this track up here, and that's going to help with sort of how the end game goes. And then basically at the end of the game, you start up at the top track. You're going to draw 10 cubes. If you can fill that top track, you're done. But if you can't, you go down to the next one, and now you're drawing, and you're keeping the blue ones and the asteroid ones, and you're playing it to that track. And if that one doesn't work, then you go down to the third one, and then you are going to score points based on your progress on those tracks. First, second, third. If it's the winning solution, there's a higher point scale, and then the other two will also score like a lower point value based on, again, where you're at on those tracks. That's like a real quick and dirty on kind of how to play. There's other locations on the moon that will open up as the asteroid progresses. There's also
You can do that wherever.
there's also on this little asteroid progression track, there's going to be things that are going to make the market sort of refresh. So you're going to lose the last card. They're all going to slide down, and then you're going to fill in that first spot. You're going to add more asteroid cubes to the bag, which hurts. And then yes, the moon locations will open up, and they provide some really good, really interesting action spots that you can go to. Basically how you play the game. You do have an income board here. You keep track, you slide it up and down. You are able to increase your minimum income. So at the end of the round, all of your income will move up to at least the minimum. If it's already above, it's not going to go anywhere.
Right, you don't gain extra.
Right. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of it. All right. So we'll just go around. Tell us what you thought. Bobby, what'd you think of How to Save a World?
I thought it was really interesting. Like, there's so many tracks and a lot of things interacting with each other. I really enjoyed it. Like the whole, like Tim was saying, how some of the action spots, once you finish them at the end of the round, you'll stay at the location, like on the planet that you're at or the moon. But then in some of them, you're swapping your people's locations, and just that is just a really unique way to have your people, moving between the locations. It happened one time where I had all my guys on the moon, like Tim was saying. It's like, and I was like, oh crap, I don't need all these. So it's like I ended up taking an action to upgrade my lab to be able to move for one less, and then I was able to take an action after moving. So I was like, okay, well now it's not a big deal for me because I put some research into it, and I'm able to manipulate and deal with that. And I felt that super satisfying being able to do that. And then you've got these resource locations where you can go and get a good amount of resources, 3 of one kind, 3 of one kind. But then later on, because I was buying so many cards and getting all these tags, I was able to I can keep spending all these tags and get a ton of resources all at one time, and that also felt really good, being able to gather all of those. And while my income levels were low, I was still gaining a ton of resources every round.
You just had like alternative ways of gaining all of that.
Yeah, like because I was looking over at Tim, and he's like, "Well, look at all my minimums; they're way up here." And every round I spend them all, and they all go back up for free. And I was like, "Well, dang, that's unfortunate." I was like, "But I'll just gain 10, you know." And so I was like, "Okay, so it's not so bad." It was a way to keep it even, and it was just super interesting to me the way that it was all done and handled. The tech labs on there, they have a lot of neat things that you can do and they have ways to spend your resources as other resources, so you don't feel like you're too pigeonholed and like, well, I don't have this one and I need that one. It's like, oh, I can spend these tags as anything, and that became helpful. I didn't score any points until the end of the game, and I only lost by 2. Like, that was phenomenal for me. I love being able to I'm not doing
Everybody
very
else
good.
hated you for that.
I know. And then it was like, oh look, I just scored a bunch of points. So I always enjoy being able to do that, and I was able to. So that was satisfying. And you get that bag building element going on. It was really good. I enjoyed it.
Spencer.
There's a lot going on in this game, and I like it. The cards can make really awesome combos. I had one where every time I played something, I got to go up on the shield, and when I did the shield, I got to bring this thing up. I also got to do this, and then I was like, the more things you have, you can just make massive turns, especially with the action cards, because then I don't have to have a person doing it. You have a limit of only 3 people or ships or whatever it is.
Yeah, the ships.
So those action cards are really going to be helpful. I needed more of them. There's also, you're never going to not be able to do something, because this and this here, they allow you to, everyone can go there at any time. But that one over there, you get to use 2 tech lab abilities. And tech lab abilities, you should not,
don't sleep on them.
Those are really good. At the end, I had all of these maxed out just for points.
You still lost to Bob.
Well, maybe. we didn't put all the blue cubes in there that we should have.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, and actually, I really like that these are modular. So
They change each round or each game.
Yeah, I want to play again. I want to see what other options there are, what other strategies there are to do, and also the one thing I wish that it had was the game winning, because if the laser doesn't kill the asteroid and the shields don't stop the asteroid, we all evacuate. But I would love to see a situation where the asteroid hits the Earth and no one gets out.
Well, I think that,
Wow.
Like an everyone loses
Yeah,
scenario.
and everyone loses.
I think I think there is an everyone. I mean,
Yeah, because you could end up not having any successes if you don't
No,
fill the
no,
track
he's
at all.
saying that like if none of those pass, then no one wins. You
Yeah.
get
yeah,
0
check
points.
the rules. Maybe.
Yeah.
No, I'll check the rules. If these two don't pass, the automatic one is this one. You don't have to draw any more cards, any more cubes. Yeah. Now maybe that's different in the Atoma, the solo game. I kind of want to check that out.
No, I
That might
feel
be
like
pretty
that
cool.
should be a no one wins.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
agree.
That'd be funny.
Maybe if you don't make a certain
Well, if the green
It's
track
also
doesn't
certain
fill
rink
up,
on the green,
It's also
You gotta fill it up.
unlikely to happen. But
yeah.
it's unlikely to happen, but it could happen,
sure.
especially if everyone's really bad.
Yeah. I do want to say, like, these boost cards, they do a really good job of like
gosh,
explaining
yeah.
how they work. Say, like, oh, if you do this, then you do this. And like the reading the card, explaining the card.
Oh yeah, I
is
never had
really
any
good.
questions.
Yeah,
about
and on the
cards
species
did.
card it says this scores at game end.
Yeah,
like on the
and
card.
then it says if you have this, gain this much, and
Yeah.
it makes it super easy to understand.
Yeah, we have a guide that shows you what all the locations do, but we didn't need one for any of the cards. I mean,
Yeah, the
those were
cards
all
are
just
very
great.
yeah, the cards are all
self-explanatory.
very straightforward.
Yeah, there's a lot of tasty combos and things in here
Yeah.
that I really liked.
Daniel.
Hi. Couple caveats really quick. As Bob alluded to earlier, my engine collapsed hard early in the game, and it was really hard to come back from that. There's a little bit of that in this game, which makes sense. It's an engine building worker placement game. The other thing is, as you can tell kind of by the board, I know you don't know everything when you're watching this, but I was focusing the green track really hard with my half-working engine chugging, not knowing that the green track wasn't going to matter
yeah,
at
right.
the end of the game if the other tracks did. So that hurt a little bit, so be
Yeah.
aware of that stuff.
It's good to have that knowledge ahead of time. So
yeah.
Sure. So I'm just saying I had a pretty rough game. But How to Save a World is incredible. I'm not gonna lie, like I want to rate this game. I think this is one of the best games I've played in a while. I want to share this with people. I think this is they knocked it out of their what Burnt Island is who it is. Burnt Island knocked it out of the park with this game. Like holy crap, I loved this game. The theme of it is obviously really cool and pretty original. I like this deep impact kind of theme thing we're going for here. Having you're working on all these different projects. No, we can shoot it. No, we can shield it. We'll just evacuate. Like having everyone kind of arguing and working on all these different projects, and then seeing the amount of work you put into it is increasing the chances of that project succeeding is just really cool. The thematic nature they fit into this game is really cool. You're mining for resources on the planet, right? You're working on the projects on the moon, right? Where you're closer to the asteroid and you're doing all that stuff. Every single tech in the game is powerful and good. There is no correct order here on this tech. They're all fun. Like, yeah, I guess the victory point ones you might want to get slightly later because there's not going to be as many cubes in there in the early game. But also, if you have them, you can potentially get 3 points every round from round 1, you know? And then, like Bob said, getting the combo with the being able to ship for free basically every turn. That's so crazy. Having cards be 3 cheaper is huge.
Yeah, and even if you can't afford anything, this one brings up the minimum of the yellow, so
it's free.
And it's free.
Yeah, you just have to take the research action.
Yeah.
You'll keep bumping that income up. Like the tag system here, to where you're collecting tags and then spending them, but they refresh. You're not like actually spending them. You're exhausting them. Is such a more fulfilling way. It doesn't feel as feels bad as, you know, you spent all this time getting all these 10 tags. I spent these 10 tags to do something, and now I have to spend my next turn building up all those tags again. Nope, they're back. You've already built up your thing. Again, this kind of treats you like this is your job. You're a professional scientist and research stuff, and you know what you're doing. You're not collapsing everything you've worked on. Every single thing that happens has a permanent impact on the game, and it ties together so well. I was not able to dig into everything in the game. You start with 3 cards, and I had 4 cards at the end of the game. Rough, but so I wasn't able to dig into that as much. I can't talk about that so much, but I'm just saying that holy crap, I loved this game. I genuinely think I can't wait to see, you know, if they change anything and what the final product looks like and stuff like this, from the prototype and everything, preview copy, but I'm literally like, I was so interested when playing this game. I'm expecting this to fly up in my top 50. Like instantly.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
loved this game. I'm not kidding.
Like an asteroid
Yeah.
just crashing into your top 50.
Down. Yeah, exactly.
Here's your top 50.
Yeah. They were like, we can prepare the laser. And I'm like, no, let it in.
We're not evacuating. We're accepting.
Zen.
No, all the things these guys said. The only negative thing I had about this game, and it's just part of it's going to be unavoidable, is it's a little fiddly, and you need to make sure you're keeping up on the bookkeeping.
Yep.
Every single action right here procs like three things.
Yeah, it does something else.
It does a lot of stuff. So you got to make sure you're communicating with everybody. Like, hey, this is happening.
Right.
Like, put cubes in the bag. Now again, these are prototype components, so this was a user error. But I kept moving down my income minimum and not my resource minimum. So then when I would go to gain resources, I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right. But those are just some like little fiddly things on the board for prototype, and those are my own issues. The bag, making sure you're populating the bag the correct way is the most important thing. And then also sort of, I think there was a few times where we were reminding each other, oh, hey, remember you can spend tags, and the tags from your hand as well, right? Because there are cards in your hand that will give you tags. So these scoring cards, right?
Multi-use cards.
Multi-use. Now, they kind of clog up your hand. They make other cards more expensive to buy.
Right.
But that's sort of the trade-off there. Unless you're Bob and you've got them all where they're 3 cheaper.
That's awesome.
Then Bob's buying just so
I'm like,
many
I'm gonna buy
cards.
3 cards. So
Yeah.
the first one's 7, the next one's 8, the next one's 9.
Yeah.
But they're also all count as one of each tag.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
all have 3 tags on them, which is
Yeah,
super nice.
and then the boost cards usually have 2 tags of a single type.
Yep.
And then there's even an action card there.
a
with-
couple of the actions.
There's some
Most of
yeah.
them don't, but yeah, there were a few that did.
So that's very important. I was very tag light, like early on, and I had tag envy, watching
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah,
else.
I didn't have any
with-
tags.
I was tagging it up.
And I'd even had like my initial scoring card was for those tags. And I'm
okay.
like, oh, what am I doing? Not getting any of these tags.
You were the income guy. That's what you were.
Well, I was,
Yeah.
and just by dumb luck, I was going on this track because nobody else was.
Yeah.
That was the only reason I was doing that track as much as I was, because I was like, well, nobody's going there, and literally the first action I took was to get the electricity, those batteries, and I'm like, well, those feed into each other.
Right.
So I just kept doing that, and it worked out. I had a decent card in my hand, which allowed me to do some stuff, and keep moving that along.
Yeah, we didn't really go too much into the end game scoring when we first started out. We started trying to
didn't.
just taking actions and seeing how the game flows. Then we started
didn't.
getting close, and we're like, oh.
Yeah, and that's fine.
It's fine.
I mean,
It's a learning game.
it's a learning game, and,
Yep.
and obviously, I think we all had an amazing experience.
Yeah, it
with
was
this
a ton of fun.
And there's a lot of balance things in here. They're just really,
Yeah, I like
really
how they
good.
scale up like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not just random per se. They're like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3.
And the way the tracks all work, I think, is really interesting. I love this aesthetic
As a marker, yeah.
as a mark. Like, this is so cool. I hope that
One of the
stays.
best-
One of the
Yeah.
best turn trackers.
I really hope that stays.
Plus, you never know exactly how long it's going to last because you're drawing.
Yeah, it moves
those-
once every turn, and then however many cubes
you get.
Yeah.
Because there's literally 4 different things that can end the game. There's 3 here and 1 there.
Yep.
And you better be ready.
Again, just an amazing thematic thing. At the more we're researching, the more we're prepared, the more we're ready, and the slower the comet is coming to show that we are more prepared for it. Which is just really, really well done.
Yeah, it just really cool things. It just does a lot of things that I really like, really appreciate. And if for a prototype, for whatever they decide to keep, the cards all look fantastic.
Yeah,
the
the
art
art
is
is
cool.
great.
Art.
It could ship like this.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
Maybe
sure. Absolutely.
these things.
Yeah, yeah.
Like maybe that.
I
But other than
think-
that, it could ship like this, and I'd be happy. But they have shown like these will be spaceships
ships.
and stuff, or
Yeah.
shuttles instead.
And these, there's another icon. That's
Yeah, there's like a little
it's
heart
like
thing.
shield.
So
thing,
like
yeah.
the few things that are like maybe a little finicky here or a little unthematic there, they've
gonna-
already shown
and-
that they're
yeah.
changing.
And
so.
can you imagine dual layered player boards?
Oh,
Yeah,
please, Kickstarter edition or whatever special edition.
Yeah.
Exactly.
no kidding.
Yeah, the dual layer player board would just put this over the top.
It would.
With minimal effort to deluxify.
Yeah,
you know?
I love a lot of the species names on like the
Oh, yeah,
animal
they're
cards.
fun.
Yeah, like the
They're
sentient
very
rock.
serious.
Yeah, they're very sentient rock.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool
There's
ones.
like a velociraptor turtle. Yeah, the velociraptor turtle.
Spark-tailed vole rat.
Yeah, there's some fun ones.
There's some cool ones.
And I know it's already been repeated, I think, by all of them, but I just wanted to again emphasize how incredible the shipping from Planet to the Moon is. It's one of the
It's so
coolest
good.
things in the
It's
game.
so good.
Really trying to balance that to be like both these guys are on a shipping spot, so even though I want to research, I need to get this guy on one of the shipping spots, or I'm gonna have no one on planet next round. Like, it's just such a cool way to do it until you have the research.
Yeah,
that
you
doesn't
can mitigate
matter.
it with the research.
And the other thing is, it doesn't completely bury you because you can always spend the resource to get
Just
down
use
there,
that battery.
or do the tech. You know, which
Yep.
that tech space is up here, so you could unlock that tech to then.
Right. But having that mental minigame of like,
Yeah,
okay, I
it's
need
cool.
these resources, so I need 2 people on planet next round. Like,
Right.
that's really good. I almost wish, because of how interesting the swapping was back and forth, I almost wish there was like a couple more workers we could get throughout the
I
game.
know.
Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
a second
add a
wave
worker.
of
Yeah.
researchers
Yeah,
coming.
like I want another worker.
Yeah,
like
yeah, like
somewhere
I
on
kind
here
of want
so
it
I can
so that, and
unlock.
then like when you get it,
Yes.
you put it on which one you want because
Yeah.
I want more people swapping. It was
Swap them
such
back
a
and forth,
cool
yeah. And it's
mechanism.
super
I don't know.
thematic.
I like how tight it is right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that if we had known the ending game better and if we had all the cubes and everything, this would have been an extremely tight game.
Yeah.
And I really kind of want to see that.
I thought it was super thematic too, where the moon only starts out with a couple of actions, but as you're up there
Yeah,
and
you're
you're building
building.
things, you're
Yeah.
doing things, those locations are opening up, and we're getting more and more things that we can do on the moon.
And there's still
makes
very
sense.
important actions up there. You know,
Yes,
like
absolutely.
yeah.
but very cool, very neat game. Really unique. There's like we talked about like that kind of reminds me of like one thing, but really it's not like that at all because
Right.
it's just that traveling between the planet reminds of one other game, but you're literally just shipping stuff from one location to another.
Right.
And that's not this.
That's not this.
This
Well,
goes
not
so
shipping it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this goes so fast. The way those meeples swap.
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
worker placement. It's
Hand management.
hand management, and deck building,
Engine building.
resource management, and it's tableau building.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's-
and
it's
combo
all-
With, with multi-use card, yeah, this ticks all the cards.
Really,
All the
really
boxes.
great
Ticks all the
cards.
cards.
Ticks all the cards.
Tags galore.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Anything else anybody want to add before we sign off?
No, again, I just can't emphasize enough how much I'm going to be like wanting to promote this game to you guys. This was a fantastic game.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see the
Uh,
finished product.
You know when?
Yeah, well, I will mention while he's thinking about that, there will be a link in the description as soon as we have a website or anything to send you to for this.
Yep. When it goes live,
I hope it's soon.
we will be tagging it. Yep,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah, so make sure you like this video, so that
Subscribe.
way you can go back to it and reference it to see when it comes
Ah,
out.
look at
See how
you.
that works?
And subscribe so that
Yeah.
when we come back and
Actually
review
review
it.
it with the finished components.
yeah.
Because then you'll get to see Dan go.
No, there's nothing there.
All right, guys. Well, this has been How to Save a World, and for the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
Spencer.
Daniel.
If you can say the title's only 3 words.